Joining me now is the Democratic Congressman from California, Ted Lieu. Congressman, good to see you again. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Ali.
Let's talk about these double tap strikes, the September 2nd strike. And by the way, all the strikes, right? We've studied this a great deal. And they are either a war crime or they're murder, right? There are no other options. We're not at war with any of these people, but you're not allowed to kill unarmed people. You're not allowed to kill people who have not been adjudicated guilty of a crime. Any way you slice this, this is against the law.
That's absolutely correct. I served as a military JAG for 4 years on active duty and then an additional 21 years in the reserves. And it is simply indisputable that striking shipwreck survivors is illegal and a war crime. It's literally in the Pentagon's own Department of War manual that says you cannot strike shipwreck survivors. That's what happened with the second strike. But to your point about this being murder, the first strike, I believe, is also illegal because based on public reporting, this boat was not even headed towards the United States. It was headed towards a foreign country, Suriname, and then allegedly going to deliver drugs to Europe. Under no theory of the case does a self-defense legal justification apply to the self-defense of either Europe or Suriname. So the first strike, I believe, simply was murder.
Yeah, and look, you're calling for investigation because we could, there may be information the military has or the Defense Department has that we don't have. They have indicated that there are a couple of things at play here, that maybe these guys on the boat were signaling for help, or maybe they were on some kind of a list that justified their assassination. But short of evidence otherwise, you, as somebody who has served in the military, understand these rules. I think you learn very early on in the military that you assume orders to be legal, but if you know them to be potentially illegal, you cannot execute them.
That's absolutely correct. Military members shall not execute illegal orders. They should not follow illegal orders. That's simply a statement of the law. And by the way, it's very interesting that you said that they may have been legitimate military targets. Fine, we can assert that they were legitimate military targets, but the whole point of war crimes is even though someone's a legitimate military target, they stop becoming that when they're shipwrecked. These two folks were in the middle of nowhere in the ocean, no radios, no means of locomotion. At that point, they stop being legitimate military targets. And if the Department of Defense wants to provide the information, they should release the video of the second strike, and they refuse to do so, even though Congress on bipartisan basis put language in the National Defense Authorization Act asking them to do so.
I want to turn to domestic politics for a second. On Thursday, a grand jury refused to indict the New York Attorney General Letitia James. This is the second time in a row. Reuters recently wrote a report detailing Donald Trump's campaign of retribution, in which it says the scale and systematic nature of Donald Trump's efforts to punish perceived enemies marks a sharp break from longstanding norms in U.S. governance, according to 13 political scientists and legal scholars interviewed by Reuters. Some historians say the closest modern parallel, though inexact, is the late President Richard Nixon's quest for vengeance against his political enemies, end quote. I think a lot of people, including a lot of people watching this show today, who will remember Richard Nixon's presidency, would be very concerned that that's where we are. That was a low point in American politics.
Well, let me first say that grocery prices are rising, healthcare costs are skyrocketing, and electricity rates are surging. And the president is focused on retribution, not on the needs of American people. So that's the first point. The second is, it's interesting you brought up Nixon. Nixon was never convicted of impeachment. He never went to prison. But you know who did? His attorney general did. And even under Supreme Court case law right now today, Donald Trump has immunity, but no one under him does. And I simply know that abuse of power could be a crime. And I guarantee you, when Democrats flip the House, we're going to investigate everyone in the Department of Justice who was involved in these fake cases. And the reason I say they're fake is because there is a saying, I'm a former prosecutor, in the law that a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich. And if you cannot indict someone twice, that tells me that person never should have been arrested in the first place.
You saw this, what happened in Indiana, where Republican state legislators there overturned Donald Trump's effort for gerrymandering. Donald Trump got asked about this, about the failed Indiana redistricting effort. Let's just play this and talk on the other side.
A number of Republicans voted against that redistricting effort. You have spent a lot of time talking about this. The vice president traveled to Indiana. What's your reaction?
Well, we won every other state. That's the only state. It's funny because I won Indiana all 3 times by a landslide, and I wasn't working on it very hard.
I wasn't working on it very hard. He was tweeting. He was threatening people with primary challenges. He sent his vice president there a couple of times. He was working on it real hard, actually. He lost.
Donald Trump, to no one's surprise, again, is lying. He worked really hard. And as you noted, in terms of social media posts, he sent over 10 of them. He sent J.D. Vance to lobby legislators in Indiana. And then when the vote failed, he again threatened legislators in Indiana. And he even went so far as having his administration threaten to withhold funding, federal funding to Indiana. So he worked really hard. He basically got his ass kicked. And this is showing that maybe the fever might start to be breaking right now.
Congressman, good to see you as always. Thank you for joining us. Democratic Congressman of California.